Hello students, today in this video you'll understand unit 2 of your business economics subject. We'll cover only part 1, that is cardinal utility approach, in this video, and in the next video we'll be covering the ordinal approach. So in this particular unit you have to study two approaches towards utility, that is cardinal and ordinal. So let's begin with the first approach, that is cardinal approach, in this particular video. I'll be sharing my presentation with you guys. So welcome again to the online lectures of SM Dr. D.Y.Patil, BBSc and Arts Commerce Science College. Now, this is your unit 2. Yesterday we have covered unit 1. So here you understand cardinal utility approach, right? So the theory of consumer behavior seeks to explain the determination of consumer equilibrium. So the consumer equilibrium refers to a situation when a consumer gets maximum satisfaction out of his given resources. So a consumer spends his money income on different goods and services in such a manner as to derive maximum satisfaction. So once a consumer attains equilibrium position, he would not like to deviate from it. Like, take an example, your personal example, right? You think about as a human, what we do, right? So economic theory has approached the problem of determination of consumer equilibrium in two ways, that is cardinal and ordinal, as I told you. So we should examine these two approaches to the study of consumer equilibrium, and in this video we'll understand cardinal utility approach, right? So the cardinal approach to the theory of consumer behavior is based upon the concept of utility. It assumes that utility is capable of measurement. It can be added, subtracted, multiplied, and so on. So according to this approach, utility can be measured in cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have two utility, I have four utility, this is how. And so Fisher, an economist, has used the term util as the measure of utility. Thus, in terms of cardinal approach, it can be said that one gets from a cup of tea 5 utils, from a cup of coffee 10 utils, and from a cup of rasagulla maybe 12 or 13 utils. So this is how it is examined. So let's understand what is utility first. Utility is the power in a commodity to satisfy human wants. Basically, take an example like a textbook has a greater utility for a student than an illiterate, right? Because it satisfies the want of knowledge of a student. So utility depends upon the urgency of wants. So let's understand the type of utilities. It is initial, marginal, and total. So initial utility is derived from the first unit of a commodity, right? So utility derived from the first piece of bread. If you are eating a first piece of bread, that is your initial utility. Thus, initial utility is the utility obtained from the consumption of the first unit of the commodity. It is always positive because when you eat first bread, first biscuit, your first samosa, you eat something, first bite, it always gives you highest and maximum utility, and it is always positive. It is never negative. Understood? Then marginal utility is the utility derived from additional unit of commodity consumed. As you go on eating more and more, the change that takes place in total utility by the consumption of an additional unit of the commodity is the marginal utility. You'll understand in table form in future slides too, don't worry. So marginal utility is the addition made to total utility by consuming one more unit of commodity. So we'll understand these concepts with the help of example. And what is total utility? Is sum of all the utility derived from different units of a commodity consumed by a household. So it refers to the entire amount of satisfaction obtained from consuming various quantities of a commodity. Let's understand with the help of the schedule. Like you can see 3 columns, units of commodity like apple, marginal utility and total utility. For example, after eating first apple, you got a marginal utility of 10. So total utility will adding up. So after eating second apple, you got marginal utility of 6. After eating third apple, you got marginal utility of 4, and so on, so on, so on. Once you have you ate 5 apples, your utility becomes 0 when you eat a sixth apple, because you're done eating now. Your stomach is full. And after you eat seventh, your utility is negative. You don't want to eat it, but still you're eating it. You understand? So how is total utility formed? Adding up marginal utility. 10 plus 6, 16. 16 plus 4, 20. 20 plus 3, 23. 23 plus 1, 24. 24 plus 0 is 24. And 24 minus 2, 22. So you understand now what is marginal, what is total. Okay. So what is marginal? It is addition. Addition utility got by a consumer after every addition in the quantity of a commodity. So as you can see in the schedule, marginal utility can be positive, 0 or negative. So positive marginal utility, if by consuming additional units of a commodity, total utility goes on increasing. So marginal utility is positive. And if the consumption of additional unit of a commodity causes no change in total utility, your marginal utility is 0. And when total utility falls, the marginal utility is negative. This is how you interpret a table. Okay, so this utility goes on diminishing, right? It goes on diminishing. See, 10, 6, 4, 3, 1, 0, and then minus 2 from the beginning and after every addition in the consumption. So it is difference between successive total utility. Thus, this utility is 0 when total utility becomes constant. See, 24, 24, marginal utility is 0. Understood this? And total utility is what? It is sum total of utility got by a consumer at a particular level of consumption. So it is addition. After every addition in the consumption in the beginning, it rises, but it rises at a diminishing rate. It rises at a diminishing rate. See, 24, 24, then 22. So it remains constant after some time, and then it starts falling. This is how you interpret the schedule. Understood? So the relationship between total utility and marginal utility can be explained with the help of this table. Let me move again to the table so that you can understand what I am trying to say. So total utility initially increases with the consumption of every unit of a commodity. Can you see this? 10, 16, 20, 23, 24. Ultimately, it begins to fall, right? 22. Then where mu continues to diminish. See, 10, 6, 4, 3, 1, 0. So as long as mu is more than 0 or positive, total utility is increasing. So total utility is maximum when mu is 0. See, 24. It falls when mu is negative. So when mu is 0 or total utility is maximum, a point of saturation is obtained. It is saturation point. You're done eating. You don't want to eat more. So this is how utility is calculated. I've told you for the example of eating something. It can be a use of some commodity, like reading books. It can be anything, right? So this is how utility is measured, and that is cardinal approach. Let's understand there are two laws of utility, that is law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equimarginal utility. So in this particular lecture, we'll understand these two laws related to cardinal approach and utility. Okay. Let's understand what is law of diminishing marginality. As you saw in the table above, the additional satisfaction which a consumer gets from every addition in the units of a commodity comes down during consumption. You understand? It comes down. So law of diminishing marginality is an important law of utility analysis. This law is related to satisfaction of human wants. All of us experience this law in our daily life, right? If you are set to buy, say, shirt at any given time, then as the number of shirts with you goes on increasing, the mu for each successive shirt will go on decreasing. It is a reality of a man's life, which is referred to in economics as law of diminishing marginal utility. This law is also known as Causon's first law. He's an economist. The more we have of a thing, the less we want additional increments of it, or the more we want not to have additional increments of it. So the additional benefit which a person derives from a given stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. So as the amount consumed of a good increases, the marginal utility of the goods tends to decrease. You can use the same table over here to explain the law in the examination. The same table that is given over here, the same table you can give to explain law of diminishing marginal utility. So in short, The law of diminishing marginal utility states that other things being equal, when we go on consuming additional units of a commodity, you can see the table, the marginal utility from each successive unit of that commodity goes on diminishing. See, 10, 6, 4, 3, 1, 0, minus. That is law of diminishing marginal utility. Now, every law in economics, as you know, is based on certain assumptions, right? So every law, like this law, is also based on the assumption that other things being equal. This refers to the assumption of the law. It applies in this law's case. Main assumptions are as these. Read it carefully, because when you're explaining a law, you have to explain the assumptions. So utility can be measured in cardinal number systems such as 1 to 3. There is no change in income of the consumer. MU of money remains constant. Suitable quantity of the commodity is consumed. There is no continuous consumption of a commodity. Sorry, there is continuous consumption. There is no break. MU of every commodity is independent. Every unit of the commodity being used is of same quality and size. If you're eating an apple, the apple is of same size and same quality. If the first apple you're given is sour, so the second apple is sweet. So utility will increase, MU will increase, not fall. So the quantity should be of the same quality and size. There is no change in the taste, character, fashion, and habits of the consumer, and there is no change in the price of the commodity of its substitutes, right? So these are few assumptions. So again, this law is explained. Same table you can explain this law, right? So how to understand that? It is clear from the above table that when the consumer consumes first unit of bread, I will give an example of bread here, for example, apple, it was the last example. You can give an example. So he get MU equal to 10. MU from the consumption of second, third, and fourth bread is 6, 4, 3 respectively. And he gets 0 MU from the consumption of sixth bread. This is known as a point of satiety, the saturation point. And after that, he gets negative -2 from the consumption of seventh unit of bread. Thus, the table shows that as the consumer goes on consuming more and more units of bread, marginal utility goes on diminishing. Understood? So the law of so that this is law of diminishing marginal utility. Understood? Now let's move to another law, that is the law of equimarginal utility. Now what is this law? The law of equimarginal utility states that the consumer will distribute his money income between the goods in such a way that the utility derived from the last rupee spent on each good is equal. Like in other words, consumer is in equilibrium position when marginal utility of money expenditure on each goods is the same. Right? Now, the marginal utility of money expenditure on a good is equal to the marginal utility of goods divided by the price of the goods. Like in symbols, MUE is equal to MUX divided by price. Where MUE is the marginal utility of money expenditure, MUX is the MU of goods X, and PX is the price of X. So consumer is in equilibrium in respect to the purchase of two goods X and Y when MUX upon PX is equal to MUY upon PY. Understood? Symbolically. So now if MUX upon PX and MUY upon PY are not equal, and MUX divided by PX is greater than MUY divided by PY, then the consumer will substitute goods X for Y, right? As a result of substitution, the MU of goods Y will rise. The consumer will continue substituting good X for good Y till MUY divided by PY becomes equal to MUX divided by PX. So when MUX divided by PX becomes equal to MUY divided by PY, consumer will be at equilibrium. Thus, the consumer will be in equilibrium when the following equation holds good. Just read it. Understand? So, marginality derived from X should be equal to marginality derived from Y. Then only the consumer is in equilibrium. This is the law of equimarginal utility. Now, let us illustrate this law with a schedule, right? So, there are commodities of apple consumed. This is MU of X. This is MU of Y, right? So, let the price of X and Y be rupees 2 and 3 respectively. Okay, you know MU figures, now you know price also, PX also, PX and PY. By looking at the table, it is clear that mu x by mu by px is equal to 6 units when the consumer purchases 5 units of good x. See, okay. So, and mu z divided by px is equal to 6 units when he buys 3 units of goods y. Check on. Okay. So therefore, the consumer will equilibrium when he is buying 5 units of good X and 3 units of goods Y, and will be spending 2 into 5 plus 3 into 3. I multiplied it by price, rupees 19 on them. So he'll be on equilibrium. Okay. So now consumer equilibrium, let's understand. So the next concept, that what is consumer equilibrium? So consumer equilibrium, that in this case, there are more than two commodities. The equilibrium conditions may be expressed. So when a consumer pays price for the commodity he is consuming, he compares the utility he derives from the additional unit of a commodity. The utility sacrifices in terms of price paid for the unit of commodity. That is mu is equal to price. So here in this case, how it will be? In the mu A divided by PA is equal to utility from B is divided by price of B, mu of C divided by price of C is equal to up to N. So it had to be equal. Utility derived from each unit, each product should be equal. Then only we said a consumer is in equilibrium, right? So what are the importance of law? Like first importance is consumption. Like if a consumer spends his income as suggested by this law, different commodities in such a way that the last unit of money spent on them yields him equal marginal utility, he'll be getting maximum satisfaction out of his income, right? The next is production, that every producer aims at earning maximum profit. And to achieve this objective, he must utilize different factors of production in such a way that the marginal productivity of each factor is equal. This is how it is important for production. For exchange, like acting upon the law of equimarginal utility, every person will go on substituting goods, giving more utility for the ones giving less, till the mu of all becomes equal. Exchange will stop at this point. Distribution, it refers to the distribution of national income among the factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, etc. So distribution is done in such a way that in the long run, every factor gets its share out of national income according to its marginal productivity. So this concept is important in this national income as well. Public finance, at the time of levying taxes, finance minister takes the help of this law. He levies taxes in such a manner that the marginal sacrifice of each taxpayer is equal. Then only it will have the less burden on all taxpayers. And to achieve the objective, a finance minister will substitute one tax for the other, right? Yeah. So let's understand the criticism of the law. As a law have assumptions, they have criticisms as well. So the first one is cardinal measurement of utility is not possible. That means it says that how can you measure utility in 1, 2, 3, 4? It's not possible. How can you say that I got 10 utility from eating an apple, I got 2 utility from eating a second apple? You can't say this unless MU is estimated application of the law will remain dubious. It is fake. So that was the first criticism, drawback. The second criticism is consumers are not fully rational. That means the assumption that consumers are fully rational is not correct. Some consumers are idle by nature, and so to satisfy their habits and customs, they sometimes buy goods yielding less utility also. So consequently, they have to get maximum satisfaction, right? So it's all about uh, being rational, but consumers in real life are not rational. Ignorance of the consumer, like consumers is ignorant about many things concerning consumption. Like many times he is ignorant about the right price of the goods, and he's ignorant about the less expensive substitute that he may be the way available in the market, and he's ignorant about different uses of goods. So account of this ignorance, the consumer fails to spend his income in a manner that may yield him maximum satisfaction, right? The next criticism is influence of fashion, custom, and habits. Like actual expenditure of every consumer is influenced by fashion, customs, and habits. We are influenced by fashion. So under there, these influences, many a times we as a consumer buy more of such goods, which gives us less utility because just it's a fashion. So consequently, we buy less of those goods which have more utility and which give us more utility. Hence we fail to spend our income according to this law, and here the law fails. The next is constant income and price, right? So an important assumption of the law is that the income of the consumer and the price of the good should remain constant. Is it possible? Income of the consumer is unlimited. As such, he cannot increase his satisfaction beyond a particular limit. So likewise, prices being constant, he will get only as much of satisfaction as the amount of goods that he can buy with limited income. So he cannot extend his satisfaction beyond this limit. So this is one of the criticism, right? And the next is change in the marginal utility of money. The assumption that marginal utility of money remains constant is also unrealistic. Like how in actual life, MU of money may increase or decrease. Due to increase in the MU of money, a consumer will have to rearrange his expenditures on different goods. So this also is unrealistic assumption. And the last one is complementary goods. This law does not apply to complementary goods. It is so because complementary goods are used in a fixed proportion. By using less of one commodity, use of the other cannot be increased. So this is how it fails. And to summarize, the satisfaction derived from various commodities like can be measured objectively. Money used for measurement is not correct as it is not constant in the value of the money keeps fluctuating, right? It is a psychological concept, therefore the very law is questionable. Understand? It's all about human psychology, how he behaves, how he reacts. So the cardinal approach considers the effect of price changes on the demand curve, the price effect. But this assumption is unrealistic as the price effect may include income and substitution effect, right? So this is all about cardinal approach, unit 2 part 1, and in the next video I'll be explaining you ordinal approach, and over there also we'll be studying a few theories. So watch this video carefully, understand it, and study it. Any doubts, you can ask me any questions. Thank you so much.